What's up? What day is today? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I forgot the day for a second. Today is the 12th episode of season 2 of the Be Your Own Hero show. I'm your host. I'm sekouwrites. I am a professional creative and the creator of the Hero Ministry, what is now known as the Hero Ministry, which started off as hoodies and now has expanded to t-shirts like the one that I'm wearing now. And it is my effort to give the unhoused brand new clothes and also wearable affirmations that will uplift their spirits. And that ministry has expanded to this show and to the Hero Charity Run and to so many other things. It's gotten big. So thanks for being here. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a certified personal trainer, nor am I a licensed financial advisor. So do your own homework, do your own research, and just know that I am sharing with you what has worked for me and often what has not worked for me in hopes that you get some value out of it. Shout out to New Thought Media Network. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and offer my experience via this platform. If you want to check out the other offerings on the network, go to ntmedia.org. There's the website right there, and you can donate. You can also see what the other programming is. Right after this show at 10:15 Eastern Time is prayer time, and then right after that at 10:30 Eastern Time is Sit with Rev Melissa, which is a show I also produce. Okay, so if this show provides any value for you, feel free to like, comment, share, donate, buy something from the Hero Store, all those good things, because they all help. All right, let me put my website up so you can know what it is and keep track. There it is, sekouwrites.com. You can get to everything from there. Okay, so I am going to shout out to the heroes in the chat who's live with me right now. Shout out to Gladys, shout out to Tim, shout out to Danielle. All right, thanks for being here with me live. Let's get into it. And I'm sure my mom is there, even though she's not in the chat. Shout out to mom. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? This is historically Tip Tuesday. So I thought, what's a tip that I can offer today? And it's one that has affected me and might have affected you. So my tip is be careful with the ticker symbols. Be careful with the ticker symbols. Because as you have no doubt experienced, if you've jumped off the porch, and I hope everybody's off the porch by now, and if you've gotten involved in the stock market, even a little bit, you now see how vast it is. It is massive, massive, right? So you have to be careful with the ticker symbols because I've made some mistakes there, and some of you probably have too. So for example, I thought that I was buying Porsche. That was my intention. And I thought I did. And I bought shares. And then I got a really good dividend, which is my second topic for today, dividends. So I got a really good dividend. I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy some more Porsche. Let me look and see what else they're doing. And I was like, wait a minute now, this doesn't look like it's Porsche. And so I read more and more, and it turned out that it was not Porsche. It was like a company that sold something for Porsche, but it wasn't Porsche itself. And I was like, oh, shoot. And then not only did I discover that, I also discovered that despite the very high dividend kick out, that the company was not doing well at all because it's not Porsche, right? So it's some smaller company, some subsidiary or something, and it wasn't doing well. So I closed my position on that. And so let's talk a little bit about both of those things. First, let's continue talking about the ticker symbol. So when you go into one of your brokerage accounts like Ameritrade and you're looking for a company, if it's a big company like Porsche is, or like Standard & Poor's, S&P, you're going to get a ton of listings no matter what you're looking for. It's going to be like, right? And you should not just go with your gut on what you think is the thing that you're looking for. Don't do that. That's what I did. Don't do that. Do your research outside of the brokerage account. Do your research in Google. Google is your friend. Google and YouTube are your friends. Like, I think people don't want to use Google and YouTube because all these terms are unfamiliar to you, but they're not unfamiliar to Google and YouTube. Just get in there and start searching, and you'll be surprised how quickly this stuff comes up. So in my case, what I should have done is I should have gone to Google and said, what is the ticker symbol for Porsche? And then I would have had the ticker symbol. Then I would have gone into Ameritrade with the ticker symbol in hand and searched exactly for that ticker symbol. That's the way to do it. Because if you go into the brokerage house looking for something, it'll get much more confusing very quickly. So do your research outside of the brokerage account is my advice there. Okay, so that said, let's talk about dividends a little bit. So by now, you probably know that there are growth stocks, because we've talked about that a bit. And also separately, there are dividend stocks. So growth stocks, just a reminder, growth stocks are stocks that do not pay a dividend. They use that extra money to reinvest it back into the company to grow the company faster. The most famous of these are FANG: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. FANG. All right, so those are very popular growth stocks that have done very, very well. They've grown exponentially. So separate from growth stocks, there are dividend stocks. There are stocks that pay a dividend, meaning, think of it like an interest rate. So when you go and you open a savings account, hopefully no one's doing that anymore, or you're migrating away from that. But don't let me get off on a side track. All right, so when you open a savings account, there's X amount of interest, like usually 0.5% or something like that, 1% interest, right? So for dividend stocks, there is a dividend, and it pays something similar. But what's fascinating to know is that there is a wide range of dividend amounts that can be paid. So for example, that Porsche stock I had, it paid, something like 20%. It was really high. I was like, wow, this is really high dividend. This is great. But I discovered by trial and error that was a dividend trap. So the company, as I mentioned, was tanking. The chart for the company was going down and down and down. But the dividend was high because that's how they were enticing people to come buy into their company, because we're going to give you a good dividend. So you do have to be mindful of where you invest your money in terms of dividends. You got to make sure that you check not only the dividend yield, but also the chart for the company. You want to make sure that the company is doing well, that it's trending upwards. So what does that make me think of? So that makes me think of two terms that I discovered recently in researching dividend stocks: dividend kings and dividend aristocrats. I'd never heard of these before, right? But apparently there's these two hierarchies, or maybe the single hierarchy of dividend paying stocks. So dividend kings are companies which have paid a dividend and increased the dividend. Let me get this right. Increased the dividend amount every single year for 50 years in a row. What? They have increased their dividend every single year for 50 years consecutively. Those are dividend kings. Not to be confused with the dividend aristocrats, who have also increased their dividend every single year for 25 years. So if you're talking about dividends, then naturally you want to gravitate towards the kings and the aristocrats. At least that's what I did. So I spent a couple of days researching the kings and aristocrats. And then I thought about Steve Harvey. You all might have missed the reference that I made yesterday, but that quote that I said, "Keep it stupid," that's Steve Harvey. That's Steve Harvey talking about making money. Like, don't complicate it. Don't try to make it smart. Keep it stupid. Like, if you made $2 with this thing, do it again, make $4. Do it again, make $6. Like, keep it simple. Because I find what I'm doing in the stock market is I'm making charts and lists and graphs, and I'm trying to figure out stuff. And I'm like, nope, keep it stupid, keep it simple. So in this case, what does keep it stupid mean in this spectrum within the world of dividends? What it means is find a dividend ETF or an index fund. Like, instead of trying to find the right stock, the right individual stock, just do what we did in terms of the S&P 500. Find a product that encapsulates many of them. So, for example, the S&P, which as we know now means Standard & Poor's, does have an index fund for dividend-paying stocks. Not only dividend-paying stocks, but dividend aristocrats specifically. So they've got a fund with 65 different dividend aristocrats within that fund. All right, so I'm seriously looking at that, not only because I've already invested with Standard & Poor's, and so I think I'm doing that kind of brand loyalty thing, but also because you've got 65 stocks and they all pay dividends and they all increase their dividends every year because that's the definition of an aristocrat. So if any of those companies decide not to increase their dividend, or that they're not going to pay a dividend that year, then they would be removed from the index fund and they would be replaced with someone else. So that's really cool. And not only that, there are other dividend paying dividend ETFs that have different amounts of companies in it. Like I'm also looking at one that I discovered from Schwab that has 105 companies in it. Now they are not dividend aristocrats, but still that's 105 different companies. And so immediate diversification, immediate exposure to multiple companies, as opposed to trying to pick and choose individual stocks. So for example, one of my kind of mid-range picks, like I went through my early period of, I'm just trying to find like the Porsche stock that I mentioned, just trying to find something with dividend. Then after that, I found AT&T. And I really liked AT&T because AT&T is only trading for less than 30 bucks, like $27. And they have a huge dividend. They got it's like 7.9%, almost 8%, which is fantastic. So my goal in that period was to get multiple shares of AT&T because each share pays $2 per year. And I was like, okay, so that'll stack up quickly. But the chart for AT&T is a little wonky. Now it's AT&T, so I assume that if anything happens with AT&T, it'll get absorbed by one of these other big companies. And regardless, we'll hear about it, right? It's AT&T. We'll hear about it on the news. People will be talking about it if something happened with that company. But then once again, I realized I'm trying to be too smart, and let me keep it stupid. Let me keep it stupid. Let me just find an ETF or an index fund that has AT&T in it, that has other dividend paying companies in it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm looking at ETFs and index funds that have dividend stocks within it. If you are insistent on choosing your own individual stocks, you want to look at the dividend kings and obviously the dividend aristocrats. But if you're going to choose between the two, you might as well go with the kings. So just a reminder, these are stocks where they have increased their dividend amount year after year, every single year for 50 years. I think Coca-Cola is one of the dividend kings, for example. Okay, so I didn't do the quotes and I'm almost out of time. So let's do the quotes just to ground ourselves in mindset. Here we go. So this one is from Ernest Holmes. You see it all? Yeah, you can see it all. Today, I expect every good thing to come to me, for I know that divine abundance is forever manifesting itself in my affairs. That's mindset. Drink that in. And then also, Bob Proctor, I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. One of those multiple sources is going to be the stock market. We in it now. Let's stay in it. Okay, so I'm closing out so I can make room for prayer time at 10:15. You will probably see me again during Sit with Rev Melissa, where I might pop in at the end to say hello. And join me again tomorrow, Wednesday, and the rest of the week at 10 a.m. Eastern for the Be Your Own Hero show. Right now, we're talking about dividends. All right, let's do it. Keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own hero. And remember that now, right now, is better than perfect. Later.